Test, test. 1, 2, 3, 4. And how's it going, everybody? You know who it is. My name is Sun Woo, and we are live once again, 9 days in a row. Jamuary is starting productive. And in today's live stream, I wanted to talk about my gripes with the OP1 because it's not all roses here. Although it's a great device, there are still some things I would like to change or some things that I think need improving. And yeah, some things that just could have been done better in my opinion. But we'll get to that in a little while. Let's have a little chat and let some people join in the stream here. Oh, did I say something else than OPXY? Yeah. First, I want to quickly talk about a little recap of the last year in terms of how the channel has been doing, what I've been doing, and I guess a lot of people do these little year recaps. I haven't done any of that, so why not do it in the live stream? And yeah, 2024 was certainly so far the most successful year for the channel. Made loads and loads of videos, a lot of reviews as well. Yeah, I reviewed a lot of gear, which by the latter half of the year left me a little bit tired. As much as I appreciate being able to do it, it does take a lot of time to learn different devices and come up with an interesting concept for review, or yeah, just invest all the time to be proficient enough to present it to people and have an opinion on it. It is work after all if you do it for 20 different devices instead of just a single one. And yeah, so by the end of the year, I was a little bit tired of doing reviews, and I didn't have a lot of motivation then to grab my gear and make music, for example, because if it starts to feel like work, then yeah, it's a different situation. And yeah, that's definitely the last months of the year. That was a feeling that somehow I couldn't motivate myself to make music, which luckily with the OPXY is different because it is something that I've been looking forward to for a long time, because I was very proficient with the OPZ, I would say, because I've used it so much. That was the device that I felt most at home with, but obviously it had a lot of drawbacks, like the limited sample time or the limited slots for samples in general, which just didn't make it complete enough, in my opinion. So this was what I was looking forward to, and getting into this doesn't feel much like work to me, because I'm coming back home. There are a few things in different places, a few things are different in how they are handled, but overall it seems very familiar, but expanded in the way I wanted it to be expanded, which allows me more creative freedom. So in a way, getting into this is not like having to work for it, but rather having fun exploring something and testing out the possibilities that are there. So that's why I'm very happy to say that, as you can see if you're following these live streams, that this year is starting more productive in terms of creativity, as all I've been doing so far is these live streams where we are actually making music. And I am very happy about that, and I hope the year continues like that, I will certainly make other videos, make proper tutorials, and also probably review some gear, but I want to keep it balanced and keep the joy in making music alive. That is most important to me for this year. Got also a few side projects that I can't announce too much yet, but I want to release a physical product that will be hopefully happening in February, March, something around that. But you will be informed when that is taking place. Also, by the end of this month, I'm going to be releasing a new sample pack. I probably announced that too many times already, but it's going to be a nice one, I believe. If you followed these streams along, you heard some of these samples already. Yeah. Anyway, hello to Sean. Hello to Robert. Nice to see you here. Sean is asking if I've considered adding finished tracks from these live streams to Bandcamp, SoundCloud, etc. I haven't considered it yet. What are finished songs exactly? I've never heard of those. No, I'll see about that. For now, so the thing right now that I'm enjoying also is the no pressure approach. These live streams, I don't have a real goal of making anything of them. I could imagine that if I go to these live streams thinking, I gotta make something now that I can turn into a finished song later on, I'll just stress myself too much and won't want to do the live streams. That being said, maybe it will happen, maybe it won't, I don't know yet, but it is something that I could keep in mind. One idea would be to take the live stream, just download the whole live stream or save the whole live stream and then just chop up bits in the DAW rather than having a whole performance perfectly done on live stream. So that could be something I would do once I'm done with the Jamuary performances. That would be an idea. I like to make things simple for myself. Yes. So that's it. It's snowing again like crazy. We don't have the outdoor cam today. I didn't have time to set it up. And maybe snowboarding later. Who knows? And you said Brian Eno is live right now as well. That is pretty nice. So I'm gonna get these little icons here out the way so I maybe can clip the video for a... all right, he was live earlier. I'm gonna get these things out the way here from the camera in order to be able to clip this video for a shorter video for my channel later on. Because as much as I love live streams, they don't get as many views as the quick, succinct 5 to 10 minute videos on my channel. But we'll figure out a balance in that way. So, all right. So I'm probably going to do a little intro here. So, in today's video, we are going to check out... No, how do I start this? Well, we'll see. And yeah. Let's talk about the OPXY's shortcomings. So, first off, one thing that is oftentimes questionable with Teenage Engineering is the build quality. I heard of many people that had problems with the OPXY when they first got their unit delivered. I also had problems. 4 buttons on my unit weren't working, so I had to send it back to Teenage Engineering. Luckily, they sent one really quickly as a replacement, but that definitely is something to consider when buying such expensive gear. Also, the pitch bender here didn't work for many people, I heard. So again, these construction quality control issues are a thing. Also, my OP1 field had problems before in that some of these knobs weren't working correctly or were sometimes jumping. And definitely, if a device is this expensive, it is important to think about how long will it last, what is the warranty like, and so on and so forth. So especially when it comes to the warranty, I recommend buying this off dealers who have a 3-year warranty policy, for example, like Thomann in the EU. I don't know which retailers in the US have 3-year warranty, but especially in the US, it's important because Teenage Engineering only offers a limited 1-year warranty in the US. And that's the build quality out the way. And next thing is the interface. Teenage Engineering is known for making great interfaces, very interactive, playable, and playful and quirky interfaces. However, I think in the OPXY they have taken things a little too far when it comes to the size of their fonts. You can see here the numbers are still relatively legible, but the values that they adjust next to them are so tiny that you really need very good eyes to see them, and that is in good lighting conditions. So if, let's say, you would play this in sunlight, I think it would be almost impossible to read these values here. So why they did this, I don't know. In the OP1 field or the old OP1, it was much easier to read all the text on the display. It was much larger, and it's not like there isn't any space left on the display for the text. There's a whole lot of black space that could be filled, and you could make these texts a lot larger so they are easier to read. Yeah, I don't like having to have perfect eyesight in order to just about make out what it's saying. And next up, there is another thing about the interface that users who are coming from the OPZ may also dislike, and that is the lack of color coordination when it comes to the sequencer. In the OPZ, you had all kinds of LED colors for the sequencer. So if I put things in here and, for example, shifted a note to the left or to the right, I would have this indicated with, I believe, blue colored LEDs. If I put in step components on certain steps, I would have this indicated by green LEDs. I would have different indicators for the knobs that would show the value that they are set to, or the parameter page which I'm on, and the parameter pages would be shown in different colors. There was more visual feedback using colors, and on the OPXY they have decided to only use white and red for the auxiliary tracks, which I believe can be a little negative, as the screen is so hard to see. Maybe colored indicator lights would be helpful at times, and I think can just set the functions apart and give you more immediate feedback. So that's something people from the OPZ might miss when they come to the OPXY. And again, this goes back to the OPXY now having a display, because yes, they have the display now, so maybe they can get rid of the color coding that was necessary in the OPZ, because the OPZ didn't have a display, so they needed this color differentiation. And on the OPXY, they got the display in there, so they don't need it. However, then the display should be better in terms of showing you what's actually going on and not having this minuscule font. And so I'll get back to the chat in a second. Sorry, folks. I just want to go through this real quick and get my talking points out the way, and then we'll have a little chat. So what did we discuss? Build quality, display. Oh, yes. Another thing, another point in terms of visual feedback that I think could be improved are the LFOs. First off, the LFOs themselves are, first of all, the LFOs themselves are a little bit difficult to decipher when seeing them. And secondly, you don't get any visual feedback of what they are doing on the other parameter pages. So right now, I'm affecting the synth page and the first parameter, but I don't see anything moving here on the synth page. On the OP1 field, for example, if I would assign an LFO to any page, I would actually see the parameter moving like this on that page. So you always have to go to the LFO to know what it actually is assigned to. And also it would just be nice because it looks interesting if you got something moving there. And the next thing I want to talk about is bugs, because I know many people have experienced bugs with the device, which leads me to believe they released it very prematurely, didn't test it enough, and yeah, just had to basically get it out before Christmas. So some bugs are, when you turn the unit on, I sometimes immediately get an error message, so I have to turn it off and on again. A few more serious bugs that people have experienced, apparently they happen if you have loaded a lot of samples on the unit, and that is that it wipes the complete unit. So you could lose all of your projects, all of the samples you have loaded in it, if you have too many samples in the unit, which of course is something that shouldn't happen. And especially if you rely on an instrument like this for live performances for your work, it shouldn't just delete itself. That goes without saying. And yes, some other bugs, or wait, is that a bug? Oh yes, another bug is that the live microphone input does not work unless I plug a TRS cable in the input, which doesn't make sense at all, but yeah, that's another bug that's there. Should have been caught in testing. And yes, so now we get to a few more feature requests or some things that I think are missing. One thing that is missing that was available in the OPZ that I used a lot and I think is very important, and they should definitely implement it again, is the ability to shift all the steps on one track, right or left. So what I mean is, let me enter a sequence. So I've got these few steps here. And what if I wanted to shift all of them to the right or all of them to the left? It's just not possible. On the OPZ, I could just press the track button and then plus or minus, and they would be shifted left and right. And especially when you are improvising music, it might happen that the sequence you enter didn't really start on the one, but somewhere off, and you want to shift it to the one properly. And that would have been the way to do it, but there's no opportunity to do it here. Although this button combo should actually do the trick, because right now it's only shifting the octave, which I can also do without pressing this. So this combination is actually unused and could be used for this. Another feature that I think could be implemented is when I got step components here in my sequence, and let's say I've got a nice sequence build up and I've got hundreds of step components added, and I want to just get rid of these step components but keep the notes in place. Right now, I do not think this functionality exists, so I would have to either delete the whole sequence or delete all step components manually. And I think one easy way to implement this would be by pressing the bar button and putting this as option number 3, clear all step components. Because right now we can clear all notes, or we can clear locked parameters, or we can clear everything, but no step components. So there's the perfect place for this option. Another thing is summing the inputs to mono. So when you are on the sampler, you can actually sum your inputs to mono, meaning you have the left side and the right side, but you want to have them both in the middle, or rather both of them on both sides. And that is possible if you are in the sampler and you turn this knob left or right. There's no indicator for it yet on screen, but it does work. So you can turn either stereo on or mono on. But this functionality does not work for the external microphone, or rather TRS input. And that is something I wish for, because this would allow, for example, to use the external effects loop for 2 mono tracks by sending, let's say, the snare out to the right output, the kick out to the left output, sending them in 2 different effects units, and then pumping them back into the input and summing that to mono, so the kick and the snare with effects are now back in the middle. yeah, let's see. Do I have any more complaints or suggestions? Yes. We have one or two more, and those concern my favorite track, the tape track. I've mentioned this on previous streams, but I want to mention it again for completion's sake. Another feature request of mine is the ability to play the tape track in reverse. This could be easily implemented by maybe an encoder click on this parameter or shift and turn this encoder, but I think a click would be good. Because who doesn't want to play their tape track in reverse? I know I do for sure. In addition to that, we need envelopes on the tape track, because right now when you trigger the tape track, it's always very choppy. So an option to have a little envelope that smooths out the edges is very important in my opinion. And again, this could be easily implemented with a shift functionality, for example. I would suggest shift and this one. And if you click the encoder, you either turn the envelope on or off. And turning the encoder would mean that you change the curve of the envelope. You go from a ramp down, so a quick start, and then it slowly falls off. And then as you turn the encoder, you shift it to more of a triangle, where it slowly fades in and slowly fades out, over to a ramp up, where it fades in and then drops off immediately. And that way you would have a perfect envelope for the tape track, easily implementable without getting rid of any other functions. Yes, and these I think are the problems of the OPXY, or my requests for improvements and just some new features that I think would make smart additions. But let me know, what do you think would be a great addition? All right, YouTube speech over. Now I'm going to have a look at the chat. Hello, everybody. Nice for tuning in. Hidden Material, Alex the Young, Mako, Yakzan, Brett Golder, Johnny Tsunami. Hello, hello. Sorry again, you had to listen to my affected YouTube voice, but I wanted to clip this video, so I had to try to keep it on point and not yap too much. One second, I'm gonna get the cat in. Sweetie, come here. Come here. Come here, girl. Come in. Yeah, come in. Come in. Go. All right. Say hello, sweetie. Say hello. Hey, Sean, thank you very much for the donation. Much appreciated. Sweetie will get a snack. Hey, Chris Coveney in the house. Kevin Morrow, nice to see you. Nice for also becoming a member. Thank you. Oh, all right. You might be hearing the snowplow in the background right now. Yeah, as you saw yesterday, it is snowing quite a fair bit here and things are going crazy. Yeah, exactly. The XY matches Sweetie perfectly. So, let me have a read in the chat. What did I miss? Hey Alex the Young, I'm not jumping on the hate train. If you watched a few of my videos, I love the XY. I'm just pointing out, I think, some obvious mistakes that are there and some obvious hasty oversights, rather. And you know, if I worked in their QA department, that's something I would point out. I worked in that area before, and so these things just stick out to me, and I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing those out. In my opinion, you know, it just gets a little whack once you start going too sensationalistic with these things, as many people on YouTube sadly tend to do. But I think just, you know, pointing out some obvious shortcomings is not a problem, at least not to me. I guess hidden material, you are agreeing with me. Thank you very much. Yes. I'm just trying to be responsible. Whoa, sweetie, what was that sound? So, yes, I hope Teenage Engineering hears them too, and I hope they take them on. I know that Michael Hell, or what his name is, sorry, I'm probably saying it wrong, but he's on the Electronauts forum, and I know he's a beta tester. I've told him some of these things, and they are aware of a few of these bugs, like the mono summing as well as the input bug. They are aware of it. It's just a matter of how long it'll take to fix these bugs. But from what I heard, bug fixes are the #1 priority on the OPXY right now. Kevin says he wants to be able to change effects and active synth engines on the track with MIDI CC. Oh, that's also interesting. I know at least that on the OPXY, the MIDI implementation is a bit better, I think, than on the OPZ. So, for example, from an external MIDI controller, you can now actually change the track you are on by sending a MIDI CC message. So let's say you have a keyboard that is further away from the OPXY, like a master keyboard. You can turn a knob and change which track you are playing. Chris, you missed what needs to change. You just gotta skip back, but there are a few things, a few bugs and a few feature requests here. Yongan is asking if you can MIDI control the OP1 field with the XY sequencer with step components. Yes, indeed. You can, I mean, because the step components, they most of them change something about the MIDI note length, the MIDI note pitch, the MIDI velocity. So all of that information also gets sent out to whatever you're sending it out to, which means also to the OP1 field. Oh, yes, you are saying it. Of course, I forgot one feature that is not implemented properly, and that is drum slicing, because if you are recording samples right now, you can record a single sample in each of these slots. But what you cannot do is record one sample and have it sliced across all of these pads. And that is, of course, a very obvious limitation. And I am wondering why they didn't implement it straight away, because everyone who has ever used a sampler knows that a lot of people use a sampler like that. And again, it's an obvious oversight, which makes me think that they rushed the release of this device. VLoneLone, you are asking how many samples does the OPXY have built in? So here are some folders that are sorted by categories, as you can see. So from here on, these are all factory samples. So if I'm going down, see you got a few claps, you got congas, you got cymbals, you got ensemble. So there are a fair bit of drum sounds and percussion sounds that'll get you started. Hidden material, you're wondering if they wanted to get it out before the Tonwerk. Yeah, that was something I was actually thinking at the time too, because the Tonwerk leaks were just put out, and in terms of functionality, what could be assumed that the Tonwerk could be doing, it seems very similar to what this can do, meaning that it's got a sampler and a synthesizer built in, as well as a powerful sequencer made for complete songs. Yeah, it could be an idea that they thought, oh, well, maybe if we get this out beforehand, people will decide to buy this. But of course, if the Tonwerk would come out before, then many people who were in the market for this would have gone for the Tonwerk probably. And then maybe there's no money left over to buy this because, yeah, they're both expensive most likely. That's a good consideration. So I could think that maybe that fact combined with, okay, now it's pre-Christmas time and that's the best time to release something quickly, that's an idea. Because I think Teenage Engineering could have guessed that maybe Tonwerk will be out at least before the Christmas the next year. So maybe get in the market before then. VLoneLone. I've been living in Japan now for 9 years. I'm from Germany originally, near Hamburg, and yeah, and I live here in the mountains in a village with 10 people, including me and my wife. 10 people and about 10 cats probably in this village. Yongan says you're not liking the animations put in here either. Yeah, so, I mean, the synth engines that they have animated, they look good, but the rest of the UI is a little bit lifeless, and I would love for them to improve it a bit. And I haven't used the device outside yet, so I don't know how the visibility is with that, with it just being grayscale as opposed to maybe have some colors who could help to indicate things. Who knows? Yeah, trying to achieve the monk status. All right. And Loan, yeah, I mean, I can understand. So I'm still a bit private. I know I'm doing YouTube and sharing stuff, but as you see, I'm not sharing my face. And yeah, it's always hard to decide, if you want to, how private you want to keep things when you do a channel like this. So I try to share a little bit, but I also don't want to give away my whole life. As I said before, I don't want to be one of those YouTubers necessarily, oversharing and sensationalizing. We want to keep things rational. As I said, I'm German after all, so gotta stick to the facts, yeah? And I want to try again what I did yesterday with the more ambient performance. For now, we'll get these back in here. Sean says, even my close friends wish I would share less. Sean, to that I say, what are friends? Hidden material, I agree. I mean, everybody has got to find their own way of how they do these things. Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it. You find variety, so there's something for everyone to watch out there. And something for everyone to complain about as well. Oops. Adjusting the camera before we get started making music. Yeah. Online, people love to complain a whole lot. That's why I try to keep these gear criticisms factual, because there's already too much outrage where there shouldn't be. So let's just try something like this again. Oh, we got something else here somewhere. We're gonna do the linking tracks business again, I believe. So copy, paste. And I realized something. Last time I turned off the sound of this track that I was sending to the other track, but I guess we could also just make it a MIDI track. I think I might just have discovered another bug right here. So I have this track linked to this track, and when I play it and I shift octaves, nothing is happening. And that seems to be because I've selected a MIDI track on this channel. If I do this linking with another track, oh, it also doesn't work. Okay. Okay. That is a bit strange. We'll get back. We got cat problems in the house. Sweetie, stay here. All right. Another cat was trying to breach the perimeter. Got a safety perimeter to the office studio space here, and that cat is so smart. She knows how to open sliding doors. She just holds onto them and pushes with the head against the wall until she shoves it open. But Sweetie is the only one allowed in the studio. She's the special cat. Loan. Yeah. I mean, I try to share when appropriate, yes. I try to be less ominous. I'll do my best. So, where did we leave off? Okay, so when linking tracks, when linking tracks, the octave of the track you are sending note information from doesn't seem to be relevant. Only the octave of the receiving track, which, yeah, I guess is something that one should know. Hey, Javier, nice to see you here. You are wondering whether there is a possibility to see the notes per key when you are in keyboard mode. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you mean, how do I know where I'm playing exactly this note or this note in the sequencer? If that is what you mean, then press the note you want to see where you have played it, and then press record. And now you see I played this note on this step and on this step. Same for this. I played it only on that step. Is that what you meant? Hans Wold in the house. Hello, hello. If you want to know which chord is on a key, on a step, then you just hold down the step. So for example, if I play a chord here, and I hold down that one, so it'll always show you the notes you have played on that step if you hold it down. So, yes, another function that we could try out today is linking something to the brain track. So I'm going to go to the brain track, and then here with this encoder we can link it to a track. So that means now as I am playing the brain track, not only does my sequence start playing, but also I'm playing track 8, this one here, directly. So that is interesting. The brain track is pretty weird anyway. Like, it starts playing my sequence, which is interesting in itself. And I'm sure there are lots of interesting ways this could be used for live performance. But yeah, so now I'm directly playing track 8, the pad track, by selecting these. VLone, you are asking about the pre-installed sounds. So, I mean, there are a few piano sounds built in. If I go to category and let's say keys. So you see in the keys category there are already quite a few sounds. However, you can import multi-samples, so you could theoretically take any, let's say, Native Instruments piano, you know, the best pianos out there, and record them with a multi-sample software and load them into this. Hans Wold, no, I don't only answer questions from TE fanboys. Can it sound aggressive, dirty, or grimy? I'm sure you can do that, yeah? I mean, it's always up to the skills of the user, so you probably can make some aggressive sounds with it. So, I wanted to... Yes. Back on topic. Let's just once again. jamming since birth. There's distortion here. You've got the master compressor. You've got distortion effects. You've got lo-fi effects as well. So if you send things into that, you can make nasty sounds if you want. Yeah, there are enough options to get something grimy sounding if you wanted to. Yeah, be jamming since birth. The compression is really good, I agree. So I wanted to, this was confusing, so I'll wanted to touch on it one more time. So when I link tracks, this one to this one, I can play this track from here, but I cannot change octaves. However, if I record into the sequencer and I press Shift and plus, I can change the octave now, which is a little bit annoying. Hanswold, so does that mean the synthesis engine is limited? Where I would have to use effects to get grimy as opposed to sound design? Yes, the synth engines are limited. They all only have 4 parameters, so there is a limited amount of what you can get out of them. Let's randomize maybe the decay time. All good, sweetie. Yep. So, who haven't I said hello to yet? Dr. Bamboo, hello. Hello, Grande. Hello. Be jamming since birth, I said. Quantum Sheep. Yes, hello, hello, hello to you. May this not be my best work? Yes, sure. But, you know, I'm still learning this one as well. Just got into it. Hello, Jamie Rice. It's all about the journey, isn't it? Quick stop. I didn't really plan to do anything more than talk about the limitations of the OPXY for today. So right now we're just noodling around a little bit and trying to explore something. And yeah, I want to just see what this thing can actually do. And you know, many people complain about the price. It's a really old hat, but like there are so many ways of looking at the price. If you know, like, should this be cheap because it's small? Probably no. An iPhone is small and is very expensive. Should it be cheap because it's got nice graphics on screen? Also certainly not. Can it do more things than many other things that cost a lot more? Yes. Some Eurorack modules alone cost probably half of this device for a single module. And with a single module, you're probably not going to do a lot. Can a Moog synthesizer do more? No, it can't, because it's not a groove box. It doesn't have multiple tracks that you can record onto. It can't sample. It can't do probably a lot of the things that I've been doing with the live input. It can't do those. So it's always, this debate is a bit of a weird one. And if it doesn't do what you want it to do, then don't get upset about the price, but just buy something else that does it instead. So VLone is asking a good question. What devices are better than this device, if any, that are as portable? The only one, or not the only one, but what comes to mind is the M8 tracker. That device is very powerful, and in some ways maybe more powerful, in some ways less powerful. The main difference there is, though, how do you interact with the device? On the M8, I've got some plastic stuck on my finger here. On the M8, you hold it like a Game Boy and you got very limited buttons that you can push. That means if you go to a step in your sequence, let's say on the OPXY, I want to edit this step. I touch this step and I do something about it. I enter a note or whatever. On the M8, however, you got to use the up, down, left, right buttons to navigate to that step and then enter something into it, or, navigate to the note value, press edit, press up and down to edit the note value, or go to the velocity up and down to edit the velocity, or to the parameter changes. I forgot the word right now, but you navigate everywhere and change it. Once you are very familiar with that, that can be very, very quick as well. However, to me, this is just more intuitive, being able to press the steps in my sequence and being able to edit them and take them away and add something to them. So it's a very, very different way of interacting with the device. In terms of... Sweetie, get a grip. In terms of how powerful they are, the M8 tracker is very powerful as well. It's got a great FM synthesizer that can even be used to do drum synthesis because it has very snappy envelopes, and envelopes also made specifically to be used for drums. So, and the M8 tracker is a lot cheaper, and you get great customer service because they are very involved and they are very nice people. And yeah, so if you can cope with that workflow, it's a device that I definitely recommend. It's got sampling, it's got synthesis, it's got a great sequencer, but it's very different from how you use this. It's got a good battery life as well. It's got a nice display. And it's got even live performance modes, so you can switch between songs immediately. And proper sample slicing. You can save a whole bunch of samples because it works with an SD card instead of some internal memory. No worries, Hanswold. See you later. Thanks for joining in. Yeah, so that's the thing with the M8 tracker. Very different way of interacting, but if the M8 does everything you want it to do, it's a great device, and I completely recommend purchasing it. But again, the way of interacting with it might not be for everybody, especially people who like it a little more intuitive. You also don't have a keyboard on it, so if you want to enter notes in a keyboard fashion, you would have to attach another MIDI keyboard. So you would have to press, in this case here, I can press the sequencer, which is there physically, and I have the keyboard down here, so I can enter notes onto the step very intuitively. So that's the thing there. Otherwise, super powerful device, great price. Yeah, amazingly priced, and they keep on developing it, giving it more features, and it's very polished, and I can only tip my hat to the developer creating that basically on his own. This is absolutely amazing. It feels more polished than this. Then, of course, there is the Polyend Tracker Mini. I didn't personally like the feel of the Tracker Mini. The buttons just didn't feel right to me. They felt a bit cheap, and you had to push them a little too hard. Other than that, it's got really nice sequencers. It's got proper sampling. Yeah, the synthesizers were really nice sounding. I guess you have more variety when it comes to synthesizers than in the M8. But overall, the M8, I think, feels more polished and maybe a little bit more powerful. I would say if Polyend, then I would probably recommend the Tracker Plus, because the user interface is better, because you have the grid, which allows you to enter notes. And yeah. So let me quickly check what do we got in the chat here. Be German since birth, you say electron gear is portable if you take a battery pack. Yes, I guess if you attach the battery pack to the electron device, then I would agree with that. But as soon as you have something dangling off your instrument, I think it starts to get annoying already. V-Lone, yes, on the M8 you are able to make melodic beats, melodies like on the OPZ as well, but again, you can't enter them in the same way, which will make you work differently with it. Some people really like the M8 workflow, like Mikey303. If you've seen him on EasyBot's channel, for example, he visited there a few times, I believe. Like the things he makes with the M8 track are really amazing, and he's super talented in the way he flies through the device. It's obviously made for his way of working, and yeah, it's great. Quantum Sheep just wants to see more Kitty. Well, she's enjoying her litter tray right now, which I believe is the reason she was so grumpy. What is my favorite music making device to make full beats? Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, as I said so many times now, the OPXY is really what I was looking forward to for a long time. So in a way, the OPXY is it. That being said, my next favorite device would be the Octatrack, probably. Just because I'm a sampler freak, and the Octatrack allows you to save many samples and manipulate them in many ways, as well as having effects, and also the versatility of the Octatrack is great. That being said, would I choose that as an instrument to start with now? Probably not. And you can also get stuck in not making songs with it. So for me, the OPZ previously was probably the device that I used. Yeah, exactly. The OPZ was the one I used most to finish things with, because the workflow really was done so well there. I still got to get into using the arranger on this one. So far I've only done jams. I didn't try to arrange anything, but OPZ was just so fast for me. Once I get used to this, I hope to use it just as fast, and then I think this will be my device to get songs done with. Absolutely, Sean. The Octatrack will keep even a genius busy for their lifetime. Yeah. In that regard, I gotta give a shout out to what's his channel called? Willy Wow. He's an Electronauts member. He's an absolute Octatrack genius. Yeah, he knows so many things, and he's probably answered a whole lot of my questions throughout the thread. So thanks to him. Thanks, of course, to EasyBot as well. Absolute Octatrack genius. Yeah. So today more yapping. See, last stream I said I'm not a yapper. This time we got a little bit more yapping. Grande is asking if I plan to move my tracks out of the OPXY and move them to the DAW setup. If they're good enough, I may may move them somewhere else afterwards. Yeah, that's a question for later. I'm sure I will at some point, but whether or not I will try and multi-track them or not, that is a different question. I could imagine that I just stereo track them out and record them that way. Because I'm not too good at mixing anyway, so I might as well mix in this device and get them done. And there are enough things here to get a mix going that is good enough anyway. The fact that they have implemented a high pass filter on every track, as well as the exchangeable filter, so you can change this filter and have different types of low pass or another high pass, so you can have high pass and low pass on each track, which means you can already clean your tracks up quite a lot. And then you've got the volume mixing, you've got 2 send effects, and most importantly, you got the master compressor on here, which will get your tracks to a nice loudness level. I could imagine, once I get going a little more, that I record mainly the stereo output and call it a day. Song is done. That's the thing about making music anyway. So much, to me at least, so much of a good song is in the groove that you create probably in the first 15 minutes. If that feels right and it gets you to move, it gets you to move and gets you to have some kind of emotion or feeling, or just moves you in any way, then I think that's already the most important thing is already done. That's the idea there. Whatever you want to do with mixing, that can still be done, but it's important to capture the essence. And if you listen to, like, I'm sure for me, for example, I've listened to some hip-hop mixtapes. The mixes were far from perfect, and I'm sure some albums from the 90s, from the 2000s will be horribly mixed, but they have a vibe. They are capturing a moment so perfectly that it doesn't matter. They are giving you exactly what you need. They have power, they have impact, even without a perfect mix. And that's what it comes down to. If the song is good, the mix doesn't matter as much, in my opinion. Of course, it is nice to have a better mix. But yeah, song and idea first, and then the mix. That's it for me. V Lone. No, I don't think Teenage Engineering will ever add anything more to the OPZ. I think they are spreading themselves a bit thin already. Like, they have a much larger lineup of devices now, and they haven't even added resampling to the KO2, which is something they were aware of from the start. When it was released immediately, they recognized that resampling is the number one feature request, and they still haven't implemented it. So the OPZ, I think, is pretty much dead. Sean, thank you very much. See you next time. Appreciate the donation. Thank you. Shallow Wave, hey. Hello. You said you've owned a lot of devices, but the OPXY is one of the most inspirational. Yeah, I can understand that. It's just the right combination of features. That's what makes it too. You've got enough voices to play with. You've got synthesis and sampling, so no matter which side of the music making spectrum you come from in that way, it's got you covered. It's got drums as well as melodic stuff. It's got enough mixing facilities to get you going. It's got some master compression. It's even got the external effects loop. So if you want another effect send on top of that, you got it there too. You got some live manipulation with the tape track, which is another layer on top. You got punch-in effects, which let you perform your things more, and even the brain track, which can transform a simple loop into more things. So yeah, it's not any one of those things that's really a standout feature compared to any other device. Like there are better samplers out there, like the Octatrack, like the Digitact is probably a better sampler. Many samplers are better than the sampler in here. There are many synthesizers that are better than the synthesizers in here. There are many effects units that are better than the effects in here. But it is the combination of all of those things in a portable package. Man, that sounds like an ad. With cat background. All right. So I think I will soothe Sweetie a little bit now and end the stream for today. As always, I appreciate all of you chiming in, all of you watching, talking to you, and yeah, having a little gear chat with you. Next time, maybe a little more music again. And wherever you are, I hope you have a wonderful day, night, or morning. See you. Peace.